what's happening? It's Chris Redbeard Videos, and I'm back here with you with part 2 of my end of 2021 video talking about my favorite and least favorite albums of 2021. Originally, this was supposed to be a one-part video, but it went on way too long. It went way longer than I expected, which is always the case, isn't it? It's almost like a trope of this channel at this point. So I decided to do 2 parts. You're welcome. So here's the rest of it right now.
Thought you had your shit together, but damn, I was wrong. You ain't nothing but a lost cause, and this ain't nothing like it once was. I know you think it's such an outlaw.
I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Billie Eilish, but I've decided she's pretty good. I mean, she's decent at this music thing, right? And not that I'm the arbiter of all things that are good in music. I mean, I tend to think that I know a thing or two, but 50 million monthly listeners on Spotify definitely know more than me as a collective. They would shout me down pretty quickly. But with that, I will tell you that in my opinion, I agree with those 50 million people or so. In my book, this is a damn good album and one of the best I heard all year. The Foo Fighters doing 5 Bee Gees covers and a bunch of live tracks? Where do I sign? Dave Grohl for intergalactic president of music.
Echo chambers inside a neighborhood, centerfold, humility shown. You're not as good as what your mama sold. Aren't you glad that
I mean, it's some sad girl stuff, right? So it's slow and moody, but what sets Clairo, I think I'm saying Clairo? Is it Clairo? Is it Clairo? Clairo? I don't know. I have never heard it pronounced, but it's awesome. What sets it apart from other sad girl stuff that you've heard out there is the moments of optimism musically. I don't really know the lyrics. I've never done a deep dive on her lyrics, but I will say that musically, I hear some optimistic sections and some passages in here, and I truly just enjoy the atmosphere that this album creates. I'll admit that I have to be in a special kind of mood to listen to this, but it's good stuff when I'm in that mood.
Every child, no matter what color, get an education. Now life in the hood is nothing to fear. 1,000 light years away from me. 1,000 light years from me.
After hearing all the nonsense that went on with Prince's family and the subsequent cash grabs that seem to be happening already and will inevitably continue to take place from now until eternity with the release of music that the Purple One clearly never wanted to get out, I wanted to hate this record so badly. And to be honest, the first song I heard, I did not like. It was the first release single and the first song on the album, Welcome to America, which is the title track, and I actually disliked it hostily. I had a hostile dislike for this song from all levels. I felt betrayed for Prince. I did not like it.
Where everything and nothing that Google says is hip. We will not raise your taxes. Read our lips.
And then I heard the rest of the album and I was like, oh. And then I read about what this album actually was and that it was recorded 10 years ago and basically finished by Prince himself and just never released it. So it's actually a completed Prince record and it's good and I can't hate it. So I got to hear posthumous Prince. It's a good thing.
It's that time again. Did you think that it would end? Wild and freewheeling, so damn appealing. I can't stop. It's not something that I choose.
So I'm gonna be honest here. I was not expecting much here from an aged 80s hair metal star, Mr. Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. But Dee still sounds amazing. I mean, he sounds like a guy who's good for his mid-30s, not his mid-60s. Holy shit.
Here we go. It's time to roll again. I'm gonna rock. This is life. I'm gonna rock until the day that I die.
guy sounds amazing. Sure, there are your typical stand for what you believe in on the nose type lyrics here that make you want to cringe, and you'd totally expect that from the lead singer of Twisted Sister, you know, the guy that sang this and this. But musically, this album kind of buries that 80s schlock. It's fucking heavy. A pure masterpiece if there's ever been one. If not my favorite album this year, probably my second favorite album this year. There's not much more to say about it. If you like very heavy, super progressive and creative music that is both bludgeoning and brilliantly musical at the same time, this is the album for you. BT Bam. My eldest son brought this album to me last month, and man, I've just been happier since. This is straight fun. It's got hardcore and punk elements, but also some pop melodies too. It's just fun-ass music. Check it out.
Do they know something I don't? Is it easier when you don't have to count to 10, when you don't have to pretend? I want to know that feeling.
This is a band that I'm falling more and more in love with every time a new album comes out and every subsequent listen of any album by Churches.
When I feel like I'm losing my mind. Feel like I'm losing my mind.
I've been an actual fan for about 2 albums now, and they keep getting better. Synth pop at its best, and I get so much enjoyment out of Lauren Mayberry's voice. And while we're on the topic of badass women whose voices I'm in love with, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of Churches is Miss Tatiana and the boys from Ginger. They put out possibly the most brutal piece of music this side of death metal, and it's damn good too. It's just good music. It's not just heavy, it's fucking killer. Period.
I've been searching for it. I've been dreaming about this life. This life. I'm not ready for it. I'm still holding on to time.
A welcome return to form after what I thought was a weak effort with their 2019 release, the aptly titled Pitfalls. Aphelion, I think that's what it's called, is just a great album, and it's good to see Lepros back, and I hope to catch them on tour when they come around to America again. Finally! A full album from Spiritbox. It has put a perpetual smile on my face to see Spiritbox get the recognition and the love that they deserve. I was at a Phoebe Bridgers show in Pittsburgh, of all places, and I saw a group of people with Spiritbox gear on. I was pleased as punch to sound old and fogey. The album is a tremendous start to a hopefully tremendous career with very big things on the horizon. I am so pulling for Spiritbox, you have no idea.
Do you ever think about all the things you could become as you stumbled, as you grown?
From the Dance Gavin Dance family tree, they do exhibit some of the same elements of DGD, but they are more epic in scale, more ambience and dramatic music, and I really, really dig Andrew Wells' voice. Had a chance to see them live when they opened up for Dance Gavin Dance, and He's fantastic. I also got to see him live playing with Dance Gavin Dance, so he was pulling double duty, and he's just great, just a great vocalist. This album would certainly contend for one of my 10 to 15 favorite albums of the year for sure. I won't dive into what this band is. Sorry, not a band, a collective. But it's fucking good. That's just what it is. They are good, and that's all that really needs to be said. That's all that needs to be known for this video anyway. I may do a dive on this band completely in the future because I think it's worth talking about. I think they're very good artists, whatever the hell they are. This album is heavy, and it's melodic, and it's technical, and it's atmospheric, and it's all the great things that you want from music. We got it all happening here, and it's just a great listen, so go check it out. You know, some people thought that this album was a good album. I'm just not seeing it. I've tried. I really have tried. Other than the artwork, I thought this was a slow-ass, boring-ass album. I just don't know what happened to Iron Maiden. I feel like they play at the same speed from the beginning of the album to the end of the album. Like, there's almost... And if there is a change, it's not that dramatic. It's not enough to notice. Bruce Dickinson sounds fine, but sometimes he's so buried in the mix. Like, the mix is bad. How are you Iron Maiden and your production is terrible? I don't get it. I can't tell what he sounds like half the time. And honestly, this is the type of album, as much as it hurts me to say it, that makes me glad that bands like Rush and Dillinger Escape Plan got out when they did and didn't hold on too long. Because it feels like that's what Maiden is doing. Just touring the old shit. Stop trying to write stuff. I know there's an argument to be made about being relevant and trying to be productive, but when you're putting out music that puts me to sleep, I mean, I guess maybe that's what their goal was.
And I'm not shelved, cause sex sells. But how long till I'm canceled? This is 30, fucking 30. I'm still here, I'm still dirty.
2 disappointing albums in 1 month. And it's my birthday month. It was very, very upsetting for me. But Bad Flower, by no means was this a bad album. It's a lot like the 21 Pilots album in the sense that it's not bad. The music is not terrible on this album at all, but it's just not great. And worse than that, it just sounds forced and tired already. And this is only their second album. They should still be exciting, right? But there is hope. I have several theories as to why I don't think this album was very good. It could be that dreaded sophomore jinx, second album around, high expectations after a tremendous first album. I can buy into that. I've seen it happen a lot in my life in listening to music. A lot of bands have put out, questionable second albums. And also, this band gets a lot of their excitement and their energy from playing out live. So, not being able to play out live for almost a full year while they were writing this album and recording it may have played a part in it sounding forced and contrived and not as spontaneous and exciting as the first album did. So, we're just going to lead with that and hope for the best. But as far as This Is How the World Ends by Bad Flower in 2021... it definitely reached my disappointing list, sadly.
I've got an idea, been on my mind. I'll share it with you and see what we find.
Another legend and another album. This one barely makes it above the disappointing line for me, though. I'm going to be honest. There's enough goodness here to not disappoint me as a whole, but I do miss John Anderson's voice a lot. To me, John Anderson is, yes, there are two very distinct sounds. Actually, there were three very distinct sounds for me, but you can replicate Chris Squire's bass sound regardless of who's playing. But Steve Howe is very distinct sounding, and he's on this record, and John Anderson is very distinct. And even though this, I forget the name of the guy who's the singer, he does an adequate job. It's not bad. He's just not John Anderson. So that's part of the reason why it's disappointing.
Out of order, out of order.
Ha! 12-Foot Ninja back with, well, a vengeance. I enjoyed this album so much more than Outlier, their last album, and it gives me hope that the Ninja may actually be a mainstay in the metal scene for some time to come. We hadn't heard from him for a while. They were kind of buried in Australia. Good to see them back. Hope it keeps up the good production. Might be one of my very favorite albums of 2021. Nearly 90 minutes of progressive sludginess. I want another Gojira and Mastodon tour right now, like I saw 8 years ago. That would be one hell of a double bill if I've ever seen one. Can't wait. I feel like it's coming. Talk about legends who are rekindling past glory. Duran Duran has definitely done that here with this collection of tunes. Simon Le Bon's voice has held up very, very well, and the rest of the band has found a way to write relevant sounding music without sounding dated at all. What a fantastic band Duran Duran is, period. Just good musicians.
I woke up in an equal to my dream. I woke up.
You know, I could never get enough Tori Amos in my life. The original queen of the sad girl music is back with a set that was really, really fantastic. This album is yet another collection of brilliant, introspective, and thought-provoking music.
Dying to take another breath, invisible monster, always felt but never seen.
I don't want to. I just don't want to. Look, have you ever been in denial? Like if you have a friend who has a drug problem, or you're in a relationship that you don't want to admit is over, or you have a friend that's just the most obnoxious person ever and you don't want to admit that they're the problem, right? Or like, how else do I put this? I don't know. Or you have a kid who is just not as good as the rest of the kids and you don't want to say it out loud. Like, this is one of the worst scenarios ever, because like Dream Theater is one of my favorite bands ever. And my two oldest sons just brought this up to me, and that I'm in complete denial of my feelings towards this album. And I put it on disappointing because I just refuse to admit that I think it's a bad album. They play well. Like, they're good musicians. John Petrucci's a god. John Mayung's a god. Jordan Rudess is a god. Mike Mangini's a god. Like, they're fucking gods. How do gods write bad music? How does this happen? On to the next. Without question, amongst the most random and eclectic albums you'll hear all year. A mix of basically everything with a backdrop of swing metal behind it. It's great. It's just great. Diablo Swing Orchestra, quickly becoming one of my favorite albums of last year. Is that a thing that can happen? Can I retroactively listen to this album for 6 months and decide it's my favorite album of 2021? Oh. Another eclectic album, but not quite as much so as Diablo Swing Orchestra, but every bit as good. Courtney Swain is amongst my very favorite vocalists walking this green earth. The album is worth a listen for her voice alone. The musicianship is top notch. Bent Knee is a great band. Please look into them. You know, it's good to see this band attempting to keep going despite tragedy. They lost 2/3 of the original group, and it's often hard to bounce back from something like that. Not only did Cynic do that, but as almost a tribute to the departed, the band, who have taken many forms and sounds over the years, made a return to its original sound with pretty decent success in my opinion. Not their best album by far, and not one that would sniff my top 20 faves of the year, but still a solid triumph for a tattered band.
I'm so cold, you got me out here. Smoking out the window, singing how could she do this?
Might be the best album I've heard all year. Pop, rock, metal, whatever. Production, beautiful. The voices, beautiful. Music, beautiful. This album is pure nostalgia, and it sounds completely as fresh as the new year we're in. I absolutely love every second of this record, and I hope they do more. Not much to say on this one. It's just great to have Adele back and that voice. I mean, it's so great to hear new music with that voice over it. And what a triumphant return it was. Huge chart topper. Adele just fucking rules.
Do I have it in me? I believe it is in there. For I know I hear a bittersweet song.
You know, I'm not really shocked that this album wasn't very good, but I was kind of hoping that they could recapture some of that 70s vibe and magic. In a time when retro is in, ABBA really missed a chance here to really do something big. It's kind of a shame. Look, by no means is this a great record. It's barely good, but that's kind of a massive step up from their last album, which was dog shit. Just saying it. Purely brilliant music in the vein of 60s and 70s Zappa. Conceptual and basically cinematic in its presentation. It definitely puts what has been going on in Devi's head to music. I mean, for better or for worse. I don't know if we were ready. He wasn't ready. We weren't ready, Devi, but still amazing music. A wonderful listen through headphones. Definitely listen to it through headphones if you have a chance. Look, this is just an EP, but it's 13 minutes of awesomeness. It's the last thing I heard in 2021, and I really enjoyed this. I only wish that there was more of it. I always like when Thomas Giles, who is the lead singer of Between the Buried and Me, if you don't know who that is, his solo stuff is always slightly different than Between the Buried and Me, and it's always interesting and always good. So if you have 13 minutes to spare, check out the Feel Nothing EP from Thomas Giles. And that is it. Those are my favorites and my most disappointing albums of 2021. And I hope that you brought in the new year the way you wanted it to. I hope that your 2022 is off to a good start. Mine has not been, but I'm optimistic for what's going to be an awesome year. I mean, everything is great. I've just been physically sick. So don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'll worry about you. I hope you're fine. Thank you so much for hanging out here. Be sure to leave comments in the comment section and let me know what your favorite album of last year was, of 2021. Maybe what you're looking forward to in 2022. Maybe I'll do another video about what I'm looking forward to in 2022. Tell me what your disappointing albums were in 2021. Tell me what you think is ridiculous about my list here, or what you liked about my list, or whatever. And until next time, thank you so much for being here with me, as I so much enjoy being here with you. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Got your hair in the wind and your skin glistening. I can smell your sweet perfume. You smell better than a barbecue. Oh.